This is a special edition of WeatherScope with the latest winter storm update.
Good morning. As we look into a holiday weekend here, we're facing yet another winter storm. This one is going to probably bring Providence over the top for their snowiest winter on record. And that'll be this 95 and 96 season. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Let's go to the analysis. I want to show you what's currently going on. And you can see our area of low pressure developing here over eastern North Carolina. And of course, behind that, the upper level system is producing copious amounts of moisture and just throwing it over the top of the cool air. And we have got widespread heavy snow now from southwest Virginia up through southeast PA. And Philly, that includes you as well. Back to the south, big problems in the Tennessee Valley this morning. Bands of snow showers and squalls continue to pull into the southeast. Nashville's gotten 3 inches out of this thing. Huntsville's got some moderate snow, and I just heard that Paulding County schools in Atlanta have been closed. So a twofold storm in position this morning, waiting for part 2. We have our very own Bill Keneally, and he's up there in Boston. Bill, what's the latest in Boston, Mass?
Well, Jim, the sky cover changing a little bit now. We've gone cloudy. The winds are now turning in off the water, and you veer that wind in off of the Atlantic Ocean, and it doesn't take long. And I tell you what, I can see some of the low cloud cover starting to roll in from the northeast. Amazingly, we're right here at the Science Museum in Cambridge. School bus upon school bus flocking to this place right now. So unlike Atlanta, they wait until the event has begun to make that decision. And so far so good, but I suspect that as our sun is pretty much gone for now, we'll probably have that snow within a few hours. You mentioned the snow now coming in around New York City.
Baltimore Airport closed. National is closed. We've got delays at Philly and Dulles. Have you heard anything about what they're planning on doing at Logan this afternoon and tonight?
Okay, the airport officials are meeting at 10:30. In about a half an hour's time, we'll have more information on that. They're going to try their darndest to keep it going here. It's a very busy weekend coming up. As you know, we have the primary in New Hampshire on Tuesday. We also have a lot of folks heading up skiing, a lot of folks heading out of town as they are suspecting the worst, but they're going to do their best to keep this airport functioning. The highways, on the other hand, they are ready now. I would have thought the salt supplies would have been down now, but they say that they are filled to the brim, and all 5 barracks on the Mass Pike are ready to go at the onset of any snow that does fall.
Fantastic, Bill, and thanks for your work today. See if you can't get yourself a chunk of Mo Vaughn's salary later on this afternoon. All right, thank you very much. Again, folks, we are continuing to cover this storm system. We're going to talk about what's happening with it and why it's snowing in the south this morning and where we think it's going to go and why it's so important that you pay attention to this weather, because of the fact that we're going to see snow in a rapid rate, and it's going to accumulate very fast in New York and Boston this afternoon. Let's go to the analysis here, and you can see, first of all, the water vapor. It shows very nicely how the upper air flow is looking. And of course, to have a big storm, or even a clipper, if you will, you have to have a nice big trough and some cold air in place, and that's exactly what we've got. And this particular clipper that's coming on down, you can see it right here. It's kind of tracked from Iowa all the way on into the south and east, and this has produced a swath of snow that you wouldn't believe. As a matter of fact, I want to show you what this thing did yesterday in Des Moines, Iowa. Let's go ahead and take you there, and you can see what happened. In duration, maybe 5 hours worth of heavy snow, but I mean, if you're snowing at 1 to 3 inches an hour, that's going to be a lot of snowfall picking up in a hurry. Again, our upper level system not looking very, very impressive, but you can see very nicely here on the infrared the warm air which is being thrust northward, and this is why our precipitation is rapidly expanding north this morning. New York City just about to get into the big snow. Snowing at Philly, snowing at Trenton, snowing at Atlantic City, and as I mentioned, the airport's closed down in Baltimore, Washington. You can almost see this band right here of the most intense precipitation heading right up toward New York City. Bill was talking about the cloud cover increasing in Boston. Here's the coastal front getting ready to move on inland, and of course, as that moves inland at the same time this is coming north, you set up a wonderful area there to accumulate your heavy snow, and you can even see precipitation aloft coming on down around Massachusetts and central Mass. So I mean, really a very, very fast-moving system. It'll be snowing in Boston, I would imagine, around the noontime hour. You can already see the precipitation aloft, at least totally covering the radar from Hartford back to Poughkeepsie on east toward Narragansett Bay. In Providence, all you need is 5 inches of snow to set your all-time snowiest winter on record, and that's what we think is going to happen with this storm. But again, in the south this morning, we're not thinking, hey, this is just a northeast storm, because it is affecting you as well. It's snowing at Columbia, South Carolina now. They had at least 1 inch of snow around Greenville, Spartanburg. Charlotte, you may get into some of this heavier snow, maybe mix in rain. But as we take you back to the west, these bands of snow continue through Georgia and Alabama, and they are pushing toward the south So even places like Macon and possibly even Montgomery, where it's just on the borderline of being cold enough this morning, they actually see a little bit of snow and rain mix. So twofold storm affecting the south through this midday and early afternoon and heading into the northeast for your President's Day weekend rush hour. We'll keep you posted. Floodgates look like they're going to open up out west. Let's find out just how much with Cheryl.
Yes, indeed.
There is a place pilots talk about, but few have ever been. It's a place...
Just in, heavy flooding expected in some areas.
Next time, check the Weather Channel. We have 65 meteorologists using exclusive WeatherStar satellite technology, tailoring forecasts right down to your neighborhood. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Awesome. Look at our moisture pool in the mid-levels, screaming the moisture up already as far north as Pittsfield, Mass. But we also have a coastal front out through here. Big difference between the land and the ocean temperatures here at the surface. And when you have a storm or something, you kind of look for this coastal front, because where it sets up and where it moves inland, you can usually track your pretty heavy snow. And it looks like this whole thing is kind of converging, if you will, on Long Island and eventually into southern New England. So at this point, it's going to pick up, and it's going to pick up quick. Look at this from the Doppler stand. This is Doppler in New York City. You think, oh, there's a big donut, there's a big error here. There's not. There's not. This is the coastal front right out here, and this is the warm air aloft in the mid-levels, which is coming up and bringing this precipitation as far north as Pittsfield. But it's aloft. It's not reaching the ground yet back and through here. Just starting to get into the snow now around New York City, Newark, Atlantic City, and visibilities are going to drop on down, so be careful. Also seeing some bands of snow in the south, heading into Columbia,
Maryland. Also snowing pretty good around Andrews Air Force Base, on into the boardwalk around Atlantic City, and that band of heavier snow is lifting off towards the north. At this point, still reporting basically cloudy skies and overcast conditions for both Boston and for New York City, but it's just a matter of time. As the atmosphere continues to moisten up, we'll eventually see some heavier snows too, lifting over towards the Big Apple, and likewise for Beantown. Here's our current weather setup. Our low continuing to deepen and get better organized. It's going to be riding off towards the north, spreading a swath of very, very heavy snowfall. Colder air too wrapping in behind our storm system. Much colder this morning from Nashville on.
on as it begins to move on toward the coastline. So they're going to start, all this is going to converge on New York City and interior New England within the next couple of hours. I mean, I would be real surprised if it wasn't snowing in Boston just a little after noontime. Right now, the snow is right in through here. This is not reaching the ground yet because the atmosphere is dry. As the precipitation falls through, it evaporates. But as you saturate the layer with this virga, eventually the snow will come down. And that's what happened in New York. Heaviest snow now from Philly down to Baltimore and D.C., and that's where they got the biggest airport problems and will continue to have probably...
Band of moisture heading on through Scandinavia, Denmark. We have very gusty westerly winds coming across Stockholm, and it's been